An instrument used to transfer title from a trustee to the equitable owner of real estate when title was held as collateral for security of a debt is most often called a deed of trust, a deed in lieu of foreclosure, a deed restriction, or a deed of reconveyance. So an instrument used to transfer title from a trustee to the equitable owner of real estate when title was held as collateral for security of a debt is most often called a deed of what? Trust. So reconveyance. Yeah, so this is tricky and even how they worded it. So a deed of trust is going to be an instrument held by a third party as security for the payment of a note. So a deed of trust is the most common one that you'll see with mortgage companies. A deed of reconveyance. So in the beginning, actually, I'll copy and paste and put this in. So in certain title theory states wherein home purchases gives a deed of trust to the bank instead of a mortgage. When the loan is paid in full, a trustee holding the property in trust will execute a deed of reconveyance to convey the property back to the homeowner. That was a great guess because deed of trust is needed in order to do the deed of reconveyance. Okay, next question. George is then turned down by 3 lenders and finds one who will make the loan if he will pay 2% more in interest than the statutory limit. The lender is guilty of A, violating RESPA, B, violating the Fair Credit Reporting Act, C, usury, or D, impressing the boss. So what is the lender guilty of? Was that A, violating RESPA, B, violating the Fair Credit Reporting Act, C, usury, or D, impressing the boss? Okay. So correct answer would be, I don't even know if I'm saying this right, but usury. And a lender who charges more than the statutory limit of interest is guilty of usury. This is a tough one. He probably is also violating RESPA, but the specific definition is going to be usury. So just remembering a lender who charges more than the statutory limit of interest, which he's charging 2% more, he's guilty of usury. Okay. A bank notifies a homeowner that they are delinquent on their mortgage and threatens foreclosure. The homeowner offers to give the property to the bank if the bank will not file the foreclosure suit against them. This process is known as A, deed in lieu of foreclosure, B, deficiency judgment, C, quitclaim deed, or D, deed of trust. It would be A, deed in lieu of foreclosure, B, deficiency judgment, C, quitclaim deed, or D, deed of trust. Oh, right, we got A. And A is correct. So deed in lieu of foreclosure. They kind of try to trick you by using the word foreclosure in the context, but don't let them trick you. That is the correct answer. Deed in lieu of foreclosure. Good job. All right. The term amortization refers to A, repayment of a loan by principal payment only. B, interest only payments over the life of a loan. C, a balloon payment at the end of a loan. Or D, payment of a debt in regular periodic installments of principal and interest. So the term amortization refers to which of these? right, we got A. So the correct answer is D. So let's see. Okay, so amortization refers to payment of debt in regular periodic installments. This is good to know. I cannot remember what that meant. So amortization refers to repayment of debt in regular periodic installments. An interest-only payment refers to a straight-term or straight-line mortgage and often includes a balloon payment at the end of the loan. Then repayment of the loan by principal payment only is wrong because all mortgages have interest. Otherwise, they wouldn't be loans. Good to know. So when you think of amortization, think of payment in debt in regular periodic installments of principal and interest. All right. Sally and George, a married couple, have elected to buy a home. Their calculated PITI is well within the qualifying housing ratio percentage. What does PITI stand for? Is that A, principal, interest, taxes, insurance? B, principal, income, total debt service, interest? C, percentage of loan amount, interest, total annual income, or insurance? Or principal, interest owed, taxes, and income? Oh, principal, income, total debt service, interest? Okay, we're between A and B. I got two people for A. All right, let's see A. All right, so A be principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. They kind of all sound right, but the best answer is going to be principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. I actually think I did have this on my test. And honestly, I want to say that these were the exact exact choices that they gave me. Crazy. Hopefully, I don't remember if I got that right or not. So PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. All right. If an investor wants a 9% rate of return on his investment, how much income will a property have to generate to justify a price of $980,000? Is that A, 20,000 or yeah, $20,000, B, $5,000, C, $100,000, or D, $88,200? Okay, a few seconds on this. All right, guys, quick. D is correct. Good job. So how you figure this out? So the whole is the total sale price. So that $980,000 is the total sale price. Then times of the rate of return is 88,200. Good job. So none calculator could be I'll make it zeros. Oh, yeah. Time 0.09 equals. Good job. All right. Okay. After the borrower makes the last payment on the loan secured by a deed of trust, which instrument will the trustee use to revest title to the borrower? Is that A, a limited warranty, B, general warranty, C, reconveyance deed, or D, trustee deed? to C. And C is correct. So just like the kind of the first question, so reconveying it back to the homeowner. Yeah, these are tricky. Payment of debt in regular periodic installments of principal and interest is referred to a blank loan. A, straight term loan. B, assignment of loan. C, amortized loan. Or D, assumption of loan. So the one that has periodic installments of principal and interest is referred to as a what? We had this one a little bit earlier. Correct. So it will be C. A straight term loan involves interest only payments, usually with the one balloon payment of principal at the end. So we think of straight term loan, balloon principal, kind of run hand in hand. And then that amortized loan involves the payment of debt in regular periodic installments of principal and interest. Okay, good job. All of the following statutes require the disclosure of closing costs except A, RESPA, B, FCRA, C, Regulation Z, or D, Truth in Lending. So all of the following statutes require the disclosures of closing costs except which? So which one does not have that? So when I click Control C to copy, it automatically chooses answer C. So ignore that at first. All right, we got two B's. And B is correct. No idea what FCRA even stands for. Oh, okay, so FCRA is that Fair Credit Reporting Act, which regulates the collection of credit information, but does not have anything to do with mortgage or closing costs. Good job, guys. Cool. So which disclosure is not required by Regulation Z of the Truth in Lending Act? Is that A, total monthly payment, B, loan origination fee, C, appraisal fee, or D, amount of interest to be paid? All right, we got C, and C is correct. Good job. So the appraisal fee is not required by Regulation Z of the Truth in Lending Act. Correct. Oh, that was it. Correct. Good job, guys. Oh, well. Of course, that one didn't ask anything about points. Do we want to do another financing, or is there another one that you guys want to look at? We can always end with financing as well.
I would say some calculations. So is that math in there?
Yeah, so the real estate calculations?
Yes.
Okay. Dun, dun, dun. Here we go. Sounds good. All right. Okay, so which expense when a property owner has a mortgage is generally not deductible on their taxes? Is that A, mortgage principal, B, mortgage prepayment penalty, C, property taxes, or D, mortgage interest? This one kind of sounds familiar from when I took the test too. So which expense when a property owner has a mortgage is generally not deductible on their taxes? Good job. kind of common sense. They just try to trick you. So principal on a mortgage is not allowable for deduction. That'll basically be your whole mortgage. That'd be cool. Okay, good job. Next, a parcel of land is purchased for $234,000 and later sold for $256,300. What is the percent of profit? These are kind of fun to do. Like if I copy and then paste, it actually gives you all the options, which is nice. So sorry. So is that A 10.5%, B 10%, C 9%, or D 9.5%? Oh, probably got C's all around. So it would be D. And how they do that, so you would subtract 256,300 minus 234,000, and then you get the 22,300. Now that you have that, what you made, which is that 22,300, then you would divide it by the original purchase price because you sold it for this. So you want to do the original purchase price, what you paid for it, and how much you will be making. And it would be, so since it's 0.90953, move the decimal point, you get the percent would then be 9.5%. That one is tricky because you would think you would round up on it, but you would just do 9.5%. Okay. A real property transfer fee of 1 mil on the sale of real estate at a total consideration of $63,500 equals that A, $6,350, B, $63.50, C, $6.30, or D, $635. So just to give a hint, mil, 1/10 of 1 cent used in some states to compute the real estate taxes. Okay. So it would be B. So 1 mil is 1/1,000. So you divide this by 1,000. And that's how you get $63.50. So knowing 1 mil, when you do the 1 mil, either if it's a really low number, like if it's like a decimal point, you want to multiply it by 1,000. But if it's a high number like this, you definitely want to divide it by 1,000. Okay. A property is valued at $100,000 and is taxed at 45 mil. The assessment rate on the property is 35%. Calculate the yearly taxes. Okay, so this is like a multi-step question. There we go. D. That's correct. Good job. So you want to make sure that you do 35% of the 100,000 right here. Then with that, you get 35,000. And then however you want to do this, but definitely either multiplying it by that 45 and then dividing it by 1,000. I like to do it's easier if you just do the 45 divided by 1,000, which then equals 0.045. So then you want to do the 35,000, which is that assessment value. So the assessment rate is what you're going to be taxed on, not the total value of the property, just the assessed value of the property. And then you want to multiply that times that 0.045, and then that gets you 1,575. Right. A property sold for $350,000. If the conveyance fee is $2 per thousand, how much is the transfer tax? Is that A, 3,500, B, 30, $350, C, $700, or D, $7,000? I feel like I'm really bad at reading math these days. So again, it's kind of like a multi-step problem. Right, good job. So we got C. Good job. C is correct. Good work. Exactly. So they tricked you by putting in the beginning step, but then definitely remembering to multiply it by that $2 and then you get $700. Right. Oh, I remember I got these questions too. So, okay. So a property sale will close on April 30th, 2010. Taxes are $1,575 per year and are paid through the last half of 2009. Calculate the seller's share of taxes using a 365-day year calendar. So that going to be A, $1,057.20, B, $1,035.62, C, $1,575, or D, $517.81. Okay, we got $40. A. So it would be D. Gosh, I was still doing it. I'm not even sure where I was at. So how you do it is first you would figure out how many days have passed in 2010. So it would be January was 31, February 28, March 31, April 30, and then add 31 plus 28 plus 31 plus 30, which equals 120 days. Divide that by the 365 days a year, and you get 32.8767% of the year. So that of the $1,575 multiply, and you get the $517.81. So there are various ways that you can do this. Oh yeah, good job. So definitely seeing how it's done the first time definitely helps figuring out for later on too. I did not do it that way at all. I was still taking time to finish it. But these are confusing, and I do remember having one on the test. Okay. A real estate agent has written an offer in which Luke, the buyer, asked the sellers to pay his half of the escrow fee and his 3 points. The seller accepted the $135,000 offer for the home, and Luke is going to put down $40,000 down. How much will the Luke pay for his point? So is that A, $4,050, B, $2,850, C, $2,430, or D, $0? Where we got D. And that is correct. Good job. This was super tricky because it says the sellers are going to be paying for the points, not Luke. So just reading through the questions, but it does show you how to do that. if the sellers weren't covering those payments. Good job. Definitely key is reading through the questions because I know let's go, I took the quiz or I took the test a few times and I just wanted to get through it instead of reading through the questions, but definitely taking the time and reading through the questions is key to taking the test. I didn't get that until probably my fourth time. All right, next question. A property is appraised at $455,000 and assessed for tax purposes at $53 of the value. Calculate the annual taxes if the mill's total is 65. All right, so you know you do it on the assessed value. All right, so let's see. So what we want to do here, so sorry, I'm just like this count. Oh, here we go. This is the amount, then we want to multiply that by the assessed value, which is that point, which is at 53%. Then you get 241,150. So this is what we want to calculate the mills off of. So you want to do 65 divided by 1,000. You get that 0.065. Awesome. So then you do 24115 times the 0.065 mil, and you get $15,674.75. All right. Good job. I like in the question rationale that it gives you a very detailed explanation. Okay, so a real property transfer fee of 1 mil on the sale of real estate at a total consideration of $63,500 equals A, $6,350, B, $635, C, $63.50, or D, $6.30. Let's see. And C is correct. Good job. Good work. So 1 mil equals 1 divided by 1,000. And then you do basically $6,500 divided by that 1,000, and then you get $63.50. Good job. Okay. Which expense, when a property owner has a mortgage, is generally not deductible on their taxes? Hmm. Similar to the financing questions, was it A, property taxes, B, mortgage, prepayment penalty, C, mortgage interest, or D? Good job. Got that right. Perfect. Good work. See, calculations aren't that bad. Good work. Okay. Cool. So this one more. Oh, sorry. This is me who wrote that. I thought you guys wanted to. So we know we did real estate calculations. Did somebody else have one in mind? I can't remember. Or if you do have one in mind, please remind me or just say in the chat, say it out loud. All right, transfer of title. Sounds good. Okay, start. So, transfer of title. A title examiner tries to establish who the present owner of a certain property is by reviewing all previous deeds of the previous owner they can find. The title examiner is trying to establish A, a chain of title, B, certificate of sale, C, certificate of title, or D, certificate of no defense. Okay. We got C, we got A and C. Anybody else want to take a guess? I cannot remember this one. And C. I cannot remember. We will go with, let's see. C was first. So it is A. So A is going to be the chain of title and a string of successive conveyances from one owner to the next, arranged consecutively from the first recorded owner of the property to the current owner, is called the chain of title. So when they say the present owner and then all the previous owners, they're looking at the chain of title. That one's tricky. Good job. Cool. And that's a very long explanation of each one of definitions of those. Don't want to confuse you guys, but definitely knowing the various um, chains of title, certificate of title, um, and what all of those are definitions will be very helpful. So an estate is offering a parcel of property for the listed price and the contents of the home for a separate price. Which instrument should be used to transfer title of the house's contents? Oh, this is good. This one you'll actually see in transactions. Okay, so that A, quitclaim deed, B, general warranty deed, C, special warranty deed, or D, bill of sale. So we got A, we got A and D, we got two D's, right, D, and D is correct. So deeds are meant to transfer title to real property. A bill of sale is the best instrument to transfer the title for personal property. So any personal property in the house, you use a bill of sale, and that's completely separate from the contract. All right, good job. On closing settlement statement, the buyer's mortgage is A, credit to the buyer, B, debit to the buyer. Oh my gosh, this one's confusing. So on a closing settlement statement, the buyer's mortgage is A, credit to the buyer, B, debit to the buyer, C, credit to the seller, or D, debit to the seller. Honestly, these are still confusing to me. When you're looking at a closing settlement statement, and definitely if like your books have one and whatnot, referring to that, because just looking at the closing settlement statement is so much nicer than so you see it and then it'll be easier to remember. Because we got B and A. And the first one was B. So it would be a credit to the buyer. So people often think of a mortgage as a debt, but on the closing statement is actually a credit to the buyer. So think of the buyer is getting money. So just think of it as being credit to the buyer. It reduces the amount of money the buyer must bring to the closing table. So obviously this would not involve the seller, so it would be either A and B. And I always thought it would be also debit to the buyer because they're gonna be paying over it, but it's basically credit to the buyer because they're receiving those funds. Okay. So the promise in a deed that the seller is the owner of the property and the buyer has the right to possess it is known as the covenant. Is that A, of season, B, against liens and encumbrances, C, of warranty forever, D, of quiet enjoyment. So the promise in a deed that the seller is the owner of the property and the buyer has the right to possess it is known as the covenant of what? This first. And so it is actually A. Wow, I did not know that. So a promise of a or agreement of possession under a legal right is the covenant of season. Hmm, good to know. So a promise or agreement of possession under a legal right is a covenant of season. This was honestly a very poorly written question because does not even say legal right. It just has the right to possess it. So the covenant of season. So the covenant of quiet enjoyment states that no other person will claim the right of title through the grantor. And the covenant of warranty forever states that the grantor warrants the other covenants contained in the deed forever and will defend the new owner against defects in title. And the covenant against liens and encumbrances is a promise that the property is free of hidden defects. Oh, that was a tough one. Also, definitely poorly written question. Okay, so how often is estate distributed when a person dies to state? Huh. I don't think I spelled this right. There is A, the law of intestate succession is in play. B, the law of descent and distribution is in play. C, the widow gets everything. D, the executor distributes the estate according to the will. Right, we got B. All right, so it is B. So when one dies without a will, they have died into state. When one dies to state, it means there was a will, and so the executor will carry out the wishes of the deceased. Wow, I didn't even know to state was a word. Okay, so when one dies to state, it means that there was a will, and so the executor will carry out the wishes of the deceased. Good to know, because there will be questions on if when one dies without a will, they will have died intestate. And then probate is involved and the superintendent is appointed. So we will have questions on that too. So whenever probate is an answer regarding death, so whenever death is in the question and you have probate as the one of the options, it is most likely the correct answer. This was a tough question, but to state means that there will is a will in place, and in estate means that they are died without a will. Okay. Transport. You guys want to transport title again, or see if there's another one you're wanting to look at? Ooh, oh, okay. An option is A, keeps the offer open for a specified time. B, makes the seller liable for commission. C, requires the optioner to complete the purchase if the optionee so elects. Or D, gives the optionee an easement on the property. So an option keeps the offer open for a specified time, makes the seller liable for commission. C, requires the optioner to complete the purchase if the optionee so elects. Or D, gives the optionee. All right, we got two A's, and all right, I would also have said A. So let's see what the answer. A seller is committed to a commission through a listing agreement. The right to use another's property for particular purposes is an easement. An offer is a proposal, while an option is a contract. Hmm. Keeps the offer open for a specified time. Requires the option to complete the purchase if the option is so allowed. Hmm. All right, I'm with you guys on this. I still think it's a that is weird. So an option to purchase, I guess, would be the better, not an option in general, but an option to purchase would be the better explanation of this, because then that would be C, but an option keeps, they give the optionee a specified time if they did want to purchase the property. So yeah, I don't agree with that answer. But getting to be more I guess in a more detailed sense, requires the optioner to complete the purchase if the optionee so elects. So if they do go under contract, it would be an option. But they don't say that they're going to do that. So that was confusing. All right. Mary buys Sally's property, which is subject to a mortgage. After 5 years of payment, Mary defaults and misses a payment. Which is the appropriate remedy for the original mortgager? A, sue only Sally, as Mary took only the property subject to a mortgage and there was no assumption. Sue Mary and Sally, as they both are liable on the mortgage. C, the mortgager has no recourse since there was no assumption. Or D, sue only Mary as she assumed Sally's mortgage. Have we got D and A? They were first. Okay, so what B, C? The mortgager has no recourse since there was no assumption. In this question, Sally is the mortgager. Most people confuse mortgager and mortgagee. In this case, the mortgagee is the bank. The question plainly states that Mary bought Sally's property, which was subject to a mortgage. It does not state there was any loan assumption. Thus, Sally remains total liable on the loan and cannot sue Mary. The bank, which is the mortgagee, can sue only Sally as there was no assumption. Tricky. They got me on that one too. My brain stopped working. So John and Mary are getting a divorce. John tells Mary that unless she agrees to sell their home immediately and splits the proceeds, he will institute legal proceedings to gain custody of the children. If she agrees, the sales contract may then be voidable because of A, consideration, B, offer and acceptance, C, legality of object, or D, duress. D, and D is correct. Duress is the useful defense against enforcing a contract because there is no genuine meeting of the mind. That job. That's a quick one. Well, going through these quick. Of course, my computer's gonna die. A broker deposits a buyer's $500 earnest money check into the broker's personal checking account. The broker is guilty of A, condemnation, B, capitalization, C, commingling, or D, cooperation. All right, commingling is the correct answer. Good job. Good work. The seller signs an exclusive right to sell listing agreement with the broker. However, the seller's brother-in-law makes an offer on the property the next day, not realizing it has been placed in a listing. Which statement is true? A, the broker is entitled to a commission. B, the seller will not have to pay a commission. C, since the seller found the buyer, the listing is void. Or D, the broker is not entitled to a commission. Okay, we got A, and A is correct. Good job, guys. Cool. A lender qualifies a new borrower who signs a note and mortgage. Then the same terms of the note and mortgage are transferred to a new mortgagor, relieving the original mortgagor of liability. This is known as an A assignment, B defeasance, C subrogation, or D novation. Actually, before we whoa, just went straight to my coffee gun starting it. Feel free to use this as a reference for you guys. Right, A assignment is correct. Or no, it's not correct. Novation. Let's see. I also thought it was assignment. What is novation? The substitution of a new contract with the withdrawing party relieved of liability is novation. Okay, so that's correct. So assignment would be using the transfer of one to already an existing contract, whereas this, by relieving it completely from the original one and starting a whole new contract, would be novation. So when you think of novation, think of new contract, and then assignment is just assignment. Laptop dying. It warns me and gives me no time to. Oh, cool. Next question. A commercial broker listed a storefront for rent. A tenant was procured. After the lease was signed, the owner refused to pay the listing broker. In order to obtain their fee, the broker could A, lien the property, B, sue for specific performance, B, file a complaint with Division of Real Estate, or C, sue in criminal court because of the fee was $30,000. Interesting. So commercial is different. Property is correct. So the commercial lien laws permit a broker to lien a piece of commercial property if under the contract and have earned their fee, but the owner refuses to pay. Keyword in this is commercial. All right. Next. A contract is entered into in a fraudulent terms introduced by the seller upon discovering the fraud by the buyer. The contract would be A, void, B, valid, C, voidable by the buyer, D, voidable by the seller. So, oh, good job. Right, good work, guys. Well, okay, let's see. I was also thinking this point. So in cases of fraud against a buyer of real estate, the buyer may affirm or disfirm the contract within a reasonable time after the truth is discovered. So a contract is entered into on fraudulent terms introduced by the seller. Upon discovery of the fraud by the buyer, the contract would be voidable by the buyer. The contract would be voidable by the buyer until he disfirmed it. At that point, the contract would be void. Oh, this was a tricky question. So it would be voidable by the buyer until he had his say. And then once he has his say, then at that point it would be void. So knowing both sides would be void, but since we didn't know what the buyer's side was, it would be voidable by the buyer. That was a tricky one. All right. If upon receipt of a purchase under certain terms, the seller makes a counter offer, the prospective purchaser is A, relieved of the original offer, B, bound by the agent's decision, C, bound by the original offer, or D, bound to accept the counter offer. This one is going to be relieved of the original offer. So when a counter offer is in place, that means the original offer is no longer in the cards. All right. A seller signs an exclusive agency agreement with a broker. The day after the listing is signed, the seller's brother-in-law decides to make an offer on the property without knowing that the property has been listed. Which statement is true? A, the buyer will have to pay a commission. B, the seller will have to pay a commission to the broker. C, the broker is not entitled to a commission. Or D, since the buyer was found during the listing period, the broker will be entitled to a commission. Wait, A, so it is C, and the broker is not entitled to a commission. So under the exclusive agency agreement, the broker is entitled to a commission only if the broker or another agency finds the buyer or seller. In this case, the seller found the buyer and does not owe a commission. So exclusive right to sell agreement is going to be where no matter what they have, they are owed commission. And that's actually the only thing we need. So just memorizing the definitions for the test, but you'll only need to work with the exclusive right to sell. An agreement of sale is a contract between buyer and broker, seller, buyer, and mortgagee, seller and broker, buyer and seller. Agreement of sale. We have C. So it would be D. So agreement of sale, which is also, so agreement of sale equals sales contract. And that's going to be between the buyer and seller. The listing agreement is going to be between the broker and seller. So that was also a great answer. But listing equals broker and seller. And then sales contract or agreement, sale agreement is going to be buyer and seller. Cool. Okay, who is authorized to rescind a voidable contract? Is that A, either party, B, only the minor, C, neither party, only a void contract may be rescinded, or D, the agent and the seller only? This is a tricky one. So only a minor. Only voidable contract may be rescinded, only the injured party. A minor is not held accountable on a real estate contract and therefore may rescind the contract due to lack of contractual capacity. Okay, good to know. So who is authorized to rescind a voidable contract? So they tricked you by saying voidable contract in this. What off when an offer is presented, the seller may A, reject the offer, B, all the answers listed, C, accept the offer so it becomes a contract, or D, make a counter offer. Right, good job. Exactly. A seller signs a listing agreement that commences today and ends on December 31st of this year. The listing agreement tries as hard as possible. The listing agent, sorry, the listing agent tries as hard as possible, but simply cannot find a buyer who is interested in the property. After the first of the year, the listing is terminated by A, expiration, B, unilateral agreement, C, statute of fraud, or D, seller recession. Correct, it would be expiration. You always need to include an expiration date on the listing agreement. Okay. The law requiring certain real estate contracts to be in writing to be enforceable is called written instrument law, B, statute of limitations, C, statute of fraud, or D, parole evidence rule. C, statute of fraud, and that is correct. Good job. Definitely want to always have something in writing, whether it's text, email, or a contract. Having something in writing is very, very helpful. Okay, good job, guys.